Welcome to this live session hosted by FAB, your insurance broker and moving to France expert. FAB is like your immigration GP. We're here to answer all your questions: visas, residency, healthcare, driving, taxes, properties, and much more. We navigate the complexities of France to help you embrace the French lifestyle you've always imagined. Although we are experts in the immigration industry and have been working in this space since 2015, none of what we say should be considered legal or financial advice. It is also worth noting that the immigration industry is an ever-evolving field, so things that are relevant today might be outdated or inaccurate when you actually move to France. FAB's main source of revenue is insurance through our brand, FAB French Insurance. Our main goal is to ultimately help you move to France, as we only sell insurance to clients applying for a visa, a residency permit, or those with a French address. During this session, you can ask any questions you want. However, we will not answer long questions to keep the pace fast. We also won't be able to address questions related to personal or very specific issues, but rest assured, we can get in touch after this session to either advise or refer you to one of our trusted partners. And now it's time to get this event started. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you find our answers valuable. Our greatest reward would be to be a part of your journey to moving to France. And hopefully, it starts with this session today. We will pause briefly to allow all registrants to join. The session will begin shortly.
Good evening, everyone, or good morning, depending on where you're from or listening to this event. So welcome to the show. So, well, should I say this evening or this morning? Well, I'll stick to this evening because that's the evening in France. So this evening, I have the pleasure to be with Alex from FAV Services and Ben Hingley, I suppose. Sorry for the pronunciation.
Close, very close, yeah.
So from Burke Bros, Ben, the camera is still off, but yes, great. And tech support, Charlotte, next to you. So thank you everyone from being with us. So we'll try to keep this session around an hour. We have a lot of questions from you from before the event. We'll also try to address a lot of your questions live, obviously. And so Ben and Alex will be sharing their insight and advice and expertise with you guys about the process of physically moving to France and dealing with the lovable customs and, police border and all those guys. So, well, to get started, maybe Ben, you can tell us who you are.
Right. Welcome, everyone. My name is Ben Hingley. I'm sales manager of the Burke Brothers Moving Group. And for over 40 years, we've been moving people into France, not only from the UK, but destinations worldwide. In particular, right now, we find there's a great deal of interest from the United States, people moving to France. And we're carrying out 1 or 2 removals every month from the States to France. We were established in 1982, and from that time, we must have moved, I would think, maybe thousands of people to France. We've got a detailed knowledge of the customs requirements, and we're regarded as one of the leaders in moving to France. So I'd be delighted to answer any questions as the webinar progresses. So I'll hand you back to Fab now.
Well, great introduction, Ben. And I can also confirm and vouch for your services and how reliable you've been. I mean, I know we've been sending you clients for like 5 or 6 years. I don't remember, but like for a while, never
Yes.
had any single complaint. So it's
Good.
usually a good sign. Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't know what you were referring to when you say that there's a lot of interest from the other side of the pond these days.
Yes.
Don't know what's going on.
No, I
Just
can't
joke.
provide an explanation for that, but
Yeah,
it's
me
certainly
neither.
true. No.
Okay, and so over to you, Alex, now.
Well, thank you. Well, passing after Ben and such a speech, it's not very easy for me. Okay, I'm Alex from FAV Services. I work with Fabien for more than 15 years now, and we have been friends from high school for more than 20 years. And it's been more than 1 year now that I take care of you to help you out to register your car in France or maybe buying one or importing one. And I try to help you out of scam and sometime in tricky system. As you know, France has a lot of paperwork, and I'm here to have a key turn solution to help you out in these situations. I work also on the relocation part services to help you out with your pets, or even for some customer, maybe they are here tonight with shotguns, or I don't know. They have so many funny stories about that. And so I help them to register everything regarding customs, regarding French registration, ANTS. And I also work for changing your driving license when you come to France to have a French driving license.
Yeah.
And that's pretty all.
Yeah, careful with Alex. He is literally a professional shooter. He won like a French championship for like, it's in meters, like 10 meters, 15 meters, things like that. So yeah. But he's a Buddhist, so he's supposed to be a pacifist. You should be safe.
That's right.
Okay, so so I have a few questions planned, and just for not used to be on the show, I'll be your host this evening. I'm Fabien from FAB Expat and FAB French Insurance. I've been doing this since 2015, as you may have seen in the intro video. The goal is to help you on your journey to France. So we deal mostly with insurance, but basically we offer free consultations, free moving to France consultations, kind of like your immigration GP, if you'd like, and ask me any questions, and we'd be more than happy to help you. You know which visa to apply for, and what processes and what steps are involved, and then we can hook you up with those gentlemen here this evening or other people if you need other services. Okay, so it's going to be busy. We have a lot of questions from the audience this evening. So let's start with you, Ben. A very often asked question about the timelines. How far in advance should someone organize the international move to France? Is there an ideal timeline? Booking movers, organizing paperwork, like you name it.
We recommend that prospective customers arrange for a quotation about 8 to 10 weeks before they think they're moving. And that gives adequate time for us to carry out a survey of what they are in fact taking to France, and to get all the paperwork in order, because it is vital that all the documentation is in place prior to the move happening. So we assist our customers with all the documentation. We get all the paperwork back from them. We send it to our broker, who approves, who gets all the documentation approved. Then the particular customer is given a barcode indicating that all the paperwork is in order. So when our vehicle reaches customs, the barcode is scanned, indicating everything is fine, and we go straight through customs with the minimum of delay. So we've got that very much at our fingertips. So we will give our customers every assistance with the paperwork. And there shouldn't be any problem at all.
Is this interesting question from Dave and Sue? That does the custom inventory has to be done in French?
No, it's done in English, and each item that is being moved has to be separately listed and a used value alongside that item. Now, when it comes to cartons of clothing, books, china, and glassware, customs don't want to know precisely what's in each carton, so it can be stated 5 cartons containing clothing and 1 overall value, 4 cartons containing books and again 1 overall value. Now, why value has to be declared, we don't know, because if a customer is moving to France and it's going to be their primary residence, there's no duty or tax payable at all. However, if they are moving to France and the home is going to be their secondary home, for example, a holiday residence, then 20% tax is payable on the used value of goods that they are taking to France.
Okay.
The VAT.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. The VAT. Yeah. Yeah.
I see an interesting question. I have to ask this one. When moving, well, he's saying when moving from the US, but I suppose it applies from the UK as well or any other countries. What should I not bring with me?
No foodstuffs, no alcohol unless there's a small amount for personal consumption. No firearms, of course. No drugs.
Plants?
Pardon?
Is there a problem with plants? I see another question about
Yeah,
plants.
absolutely. Plants are definitely a no-no. Before Brexit, it was no problem at all. People would take half their garden to France, but not now.
Is this all plants? Because she specifically mentions garden roses, for example.
Yeah, it's all plants. Yeah, whether they're indoor plants or outdoor plants. Now, it is possible to get an exemption, but it means submitting the plant to the agricultural people here, together with a sample of soil that is around the plant. And that has to be done for each plant. Each plant has to have the botanical name recorded. And it's a very, very costly exercise. So quite frankly,
Seems like really, so, yeah.
It isn't worth taking plants.
Okay. Yes. Good tip. Okay. So practically, what does the process entails, in regard to like moving your personal belongings? I mean, we're talking very practically, like packing the goods and,
Yes,
like,
right.
Yeah.
Well, we would either go and see the customer in their home and do what we call an in-house survey, where we calculate the cubic capacity involved, number of cartons that are to be packed, what needs dismantling, and certain other factors which help make the quotation. That is as a result of a personal visit. On occasions, we can do a video survey on the WhatsApp platform, where the prospective customer will carry their phone around in each room and we record the images back here, so we can do it that way. Now, if a customer has enough volume for a vehicle exclusively for their own use, then we try and load and pack on a Thursday and Friday and deliver in France the first part of the following week. Now, that isn't set in stone, but that ideally is the time scale that we try and stick to.
I was about to ask about those transit time, like, for example, well, I suppose it varies indeed, but what would be on average from the US and on average from the UK, what
right. Okay. Well, from the UK, pack and load one week, the end of one week, and deliver the first part of next week. Now, from the USA, we would pack and wrap, and then I think the customer would need to allow 5 to 6 weeks for the shipment to arrive. Now, the service from the UK is road vehicle, but from the US, it would be in a shipping container, which works out extremely well.
Yeah.
So we have people that would do the packing and wrapping in the States, and then we would handle the shipment when it arrives in France.
Okay, great. Okay, so let me pick up a few questions live because I see a few interesting questions. There's one. Well, Ben, can your company help with short-term storage of items while we look for a long-term residence? I'll be in a VRBO initially.
Yes, we can certainly store. We find that probably 90% of people moving to France do need to store their furniture first because it's very difficult to get the English legal system of selling properties synchronized with the French system. So storage we do as a matter of routine.
Okay, wow, that's great to know. Um, if I ship a vehicle via a shipping container for a permanent stay, will there be import custom fees and will there be a vehicle inspection, meaning like headlights, correctly, side lights, before driving from dock to my new home?
Yes, we would need the registration document for the vehicle. That is submitted
From the
to
home
the
country, dear.
yeah, from the country that it is being shipped from. That registration document is examined by the authorities in France, and that would then reveal whether the emissions are okay, which they probably would be unless the vehicle is ancient. And then the vehicle is shipped upon arrival. If the vehicle is being moved as part of a move to a permanent residence, there should be no duty or special taxes payable on the vehicle. But then the headlights would have to be corrected and certain other legal requirements that the French system demand would have to be done when the vehicle arrives in France.
Yeah, maybe Alex, you can jump in on this one because so basically there's no inspection required
N-
upon
n-
arrival, but then it's
No.
gonna need to be imported and fixed if there is anything.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. In fact, when you get your car, you're allowed to drive it in France within a certain period of time. When you go through customs to obtain your 846A document, well, they just need to check whether the car you're bringing as a declaration, like the brand and the VIN number, match. This is the just what the customs does. The registering part is another thing. Maybe I would explain it later, but it has nothing to do with the customs. They would not check anything upon if it's okay for driving legally in France, because you could maybe take your car to arrive in France and they do a European turn with your car, like a road trip, and without doing any registration in France, and they won't block the car because CO2 is too high or stuff like that. So
Hmm.
it's more if you want to register, then we will apply some rules.
yeah.
Okay. Actually, well, this is obviously an important key element of the move. Ben, what are the usual, or what would be, I mean, I suppose it's a difficult one to answer, but what's the typical cost factor or cost factors that would be part of that, like the major costs involved in shipping your stuff from abroad? And I suppose it's very different from UK to US, but
Yeah, yeah. Well, I have a couple of hours ago quoted a complete home to go from um, Tewkesbury, which is more or less in the centre of the UK, to Department 47, France, and that worked out at £8,000 sterling.
okay.
There's no car involved in that. Now, if a car is involved, where possible, we try and put the car in the removal van. It might go in the main vehicle with furniture and effects. If there's insufficient room for that, the vehicle could go on a following trailer. So that's how we would get the car into France.
Okay, great. And just maybe well, US is much bigger, but do you have an idea of costs from the US, maybe?
It is very difficult without knowing exactly where in the States the move is
Yeah,
from.
West or East Coast is a completely different. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. But I mean, I would think people would have to budget. In our experience, there are not that many people that take their complete household contents to the US. It's mainly selected items and personal effects. So again, this is a bit of a guesstimate, but I would think the customer would need to allow probably round about 7 to 8 thousand pounds sterling for that. So that needs converting into
Okay.
dollars, of course.
Okay. Okay. Well, great to know. Great to know. Oh, it's just because
Yeah,
it's
if
not
I can,
relevant.
if I can jump on what Ben just said, it's true that when I have my meetings around importing cars and I ask people about the moving, they always tell me that they want to do a new life in France and they will just bring the essential things of their life, like and they don't want to bring their furniture along. They will just buy new furniture and they it's very common in the US to sell all the house
Yeah,
within the beds and so on.
yeah,
And in France, it's true that we like to keep our stuff, so
Yeah,
it's
we
not the
even
same
keep the
mentality.
boxes when we buy
yeah,
new stuff. We keep the originals.
yeah, yeah.
I have a question specifically for Alex, especially as you're a shooter, but also because you deal. I mean, apart from the fun side, you deal with that professionally for import as well. Like you said, you've imported shotguns and shells. A particular client had something like 8,000 shells or something like that. That was crazy.
Yes, yes,
But
exactly.
so David's asking, it does a lot of target shooting with recurve bows and air rifles.
Okay.
Would he have to declare this if he were to bring them to France, even if it's just for a short-ish visit? So, well, it depends on what's a short-ish visit, but
Yeah, it depends. Well, I think Ben could help us out too because it's in France. Well, it depends on each country because France, we have categories of weapons because it's a weapon. And air rifle and crossbows or bows are not considered as weapons. They are D classified D, letter D, A, B, C, D letter, which is only simple declaration. You just have to be more than 18 years old and have your own ID card, and then you just declare. So they will register that you are the owner of one of these things. It's maybe like if you buy a Japanese sword, for example. It's category D, and I know that in the UK they are very powerful air rifle that you can even shot a hog with it. No, but it's truly because as they are not allowed to have weapons anymore
oh
for the
yes, yeah, we have
yeah. So
limitations with that. Yes.
they trick the system, and now you have some very powerful. It's engaged with a certain of power, and so this consideration in France with air rifle is D category. So I think just a declaration when you go through just might be okay, but I might be checking if you need to.
Okay.
Yeah, any weapons like that would be declared on the inventory, but customs will check and examine the vehicle, examine the weapons when we get to the border. So we need to have any weapons like that on the rearmost end of the van, so they can be looked at
Mm.
quite easily, unwrapped and unpacked, and then we'd have to repack them again, just to ensure that they are as described on the inventory.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
because you can have fake weapons. Like
Yes,
if you are a passion of history and you have a fake Luger P08, for example, like it's
yes,
a replica, and they have to show that it's a fake one, that it's a reproduced one,
yes,
and it's classified D also.
mm.
So it's still even if it's not a real weapon, you can even go in street and maybe just aim
Yeah,
at
shoot someone.
people and they get
yeah,
scared. So it's important that they check that it's a false one.
yes, yes, yes.
Ben, I have a couple quick fire round questions for you. First, are we allowed to pack any liquids like personal hygiene items?
Yeah, that's perfectly okay.
Are we allowed to bring it? Oh, I don't know how to pronounce this one. An urn with human remains. Monica is asking her
Ah,
mom's ashes, basically.
Yes, that will be all right. We will have to declare that, but that is fine. If the deceased's ashes are sealed in an urn, like from the crematorium, then that will be fine.
Actually, it's very, I mean, there's a weird, we didn't have the question before, but like Kim is asking, how does one assess his value? Like used clothing hardly has any value, for example?
Yes, I know. You just need to put a token value down in pounds sterling. So, for example, you might have 4 cartons of clothing and just declare the whole lot at about £40 sterling, just a fairly notional amount. But a value of some sort needs to be put on.
So we were talking about plants. What about seeds?
And no seeds either. No.
Okay. Greg was apparently puzzled by your no food stuff. Can you explain?
Yeah. Again, prior to Brexit, we could take any food in the vehicle, but not now. I don't know why, but no foodstuffs are allowed to be imported.
Okay, great. I'm seeing a couple questions from, well, I don't know if they're EU citizens, but people moving from other EU countries. So one's asking, does that relate to move from Ireland regarding the plants? Another says, whatever moving from Germany with legally registered firearms. So for example, from Ireland regarding plants, like you were saying, this is an EU country, so it probably doesn't make
It
any
doesn't
problem.
make any difference, no.
Yeah. So okay. And for you, Alex, I know you're a shooter and you went to different countries across the EU. Like, what about moving a firearm from Germany, which is already registered in Germany, but I think you need to re-register it to France?
Well, for example, when I go on championship, like tournaments, European Championship or World Championship, I have a passport for each of my firearm. For each of my weapon, I have a declaration of the brand, the model, the serial number, the caliber, and everything is listed. So I have a little passport, like my passport. And when I go to customs, then I show this document. They will check each number that is correct, and generally it goes fine. When you arrive in France and you want to relocate in France and have your weapons with you, then you must complete a certain SERFA, which is a French document called SERFA. I don't remember the number, but I can give it to you. And we declare one SERFA per ammunition, so I hope you don't have too many. And you have to list exactly the same information as you have on your passport, your European passport of weapons. And then in France, it's a little bit tricky. You have to be part of a shooting federation, and once you are settled in this shooting club, then you have 6 months period before you cannot possess any weapon. So it's very tricky. So you have your weapons, but you're not allowed to use them. And then within this 6 months period, you can go on SIA system, which is in France SIA, and you will be allowed to declare each of your weapon that is important. Where, for example, when I buy some handguns for shooting in championship, I have very specific guns that I bring from, for example, Finland, and I have exactly the same thing to do. I have the original of the invoice. I do the SERPA, and then when I arrive in France, I go through armurier. How would you say that in English? It's a professional for the way that sell guns. And,
Oh yeah, how do you call the name of the shop where you buy the guns from?
Well, the sort of
no,
firearm shop.
Firearm shop. Yeah, let's say that.
Yeah.
Let's go with that.
Let's say that.
Let's go
And
with
then
that.
he will check that the number and all the elements are true, and then he will register on your SIA that is committed, that does it match, and then you're legally in possession of your weapons. In fact, you only have one dossier to put up, and you're limited only to 6 weapons for a few years. I think it's 2 years. And then after 2 years, then you're limited to 15 weapons, B category, which is handgun. But if you want to have some weapons such as shotguns, then there's no limit because it's C category. And then there's no limit, but it's still registered in a SIA system. So,
Okay, great.
so
I have another round of very fast questions because I'm trying to unpile a lot of questions if possible. Most for you, Ben, because they're very specific. So Karen's asking, how does insurance on items move? You know, when work? Sorry, when you move them.
Yeah, okay. Well, as far as Burke Brothers is concerned, our standard policy provides for the removal of £50,000 value of furniture and effects from the UK to France. Now, any items that are packed by the owner then do travel at owner's risk.
Okay.
Whereas if we pack, then everything is our responsibility and fully insured. So my recommendation would be people moving to France should allow the remover, at the very least, to pack all items of a fragile nature. So that would be pictures, mirrors, lamps, china, glassware, and ornaments. And then, if the customer wishes to pack less important things themselves, such as books, toys, linens, general sundries, that's okay.
Okay, great. Janice is asking, because you were telling the audience you could store things. Like, I mean, is there a limit? Like, for example, she wants to store things for up to 6 months while she looks for a place to live. Can you do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, whether goods are in store for 1 week, 6 months, 6 years, that's perfectly fine.
I have a very good question from Mikhail. I think it's the name. I love this one. Can you provide, brace yourself, Ben. Can you provide moving services for a private wine collection from California, US, to France? If yes, what is the process?
Yeah, well, now we can, but I would. We've done this before, but I would have to refer that to our international manager, Anthony, to respond to that in
The short
more
answer
detail.
is yes, then.
So if we could have that good lady's details, I'll get Anthony to contact her direct. But it can be done.
And we'll share the details, by the way, in a follow-up email. Don't worry. Probably by tomorrow, French time. We'll share Ben's email, Alex's details. You know, you're going to have those guys' details if you want to reach out.
Good.
I had others for you, Ben. Well, actually, Salah is asking, what about antiques, rugs, tableau, frames?
Yeah, that's fine. There's no problem with antiques going into France. There's no special duties payable on them, so that's perfectly okay.
Oh, do you do? Sharon's asking, do you do air freight for smaller shipments?
Yes, we do. Absolutely. Yeah. In fact, we're finding that we're probably doing as many air freight moves into France as we are doing ocean freight.
Okay, well, great. Does Burke Bros have storage facilities on the US and French side?
Yes, we can certainly arrange that, most certainly.
Brilliant. Mark is asking, yeah, I always say is a fast burst. Yeah. Mark is asking, how long can the storage container be stored in port?
Right. Now, normally 14 days without demurrage being paid. But after 14 days, demurrage, which is a storage cost, will be imposed by the shipping container company, because the shippers want that container empty and returned for ongoing use. So they don't encourage the containers to remain on the quay full for, really longer than necessary. But 14 days is fine.
Okay. Oh, there's one from China that's actually, for once, I can answer. Do you require car insurance prior to the vehicle arriving in France from the US? So, well, no. I mean, as long as you're insured for the vehicle to be abroad, it's valid. But like, you have to inquire with your current insurance company if they cover you abroad, and especially in France in that case. If they do not, then yes, you do need to have the vehicle insured at all times. So potentially means that you have to insure the vehicle in France, which is going to be tricky if you have a US driver license and foreign plates at the minute, because they're cracking down very hard on the French side for foreign registered vehicle. But there are solutions, and obviously we do have that. Okay, so let me see. I think we're good. I mean, okay. Okay, I think we're good. Is there an age limit? Sorry, Richard's asking, is there an age limit on a vehicle to be shipped?
I think that's one more for Alex. Can you help with that, Alex?
An age for bringing a belonging. That's the question.
No, a vehicle. Is there an age? I mean, basically, if he has like a vintage vehicle, a collection vehicle that's 100 years old, like, is it possible?
Okay. I bought myself for doing race seven Austin 7 from 1933,
Oh,
and and I brought it along, and it's working fine.
No, so
No
that yeah,
problem
well,
for the age of the vehicle.
yes. So basically, you're telling us that there's no age limit, but some modifications might be required to match new standards
No,
on open roads.
not at
Or
all. Not on classic cars.
well, so two good answers. Okay, two good
Very
news.
good. Yeah.
Two good news. Okay, well, let's move on the question so that we can switch to the next section. Okay, so well, back to you, Ben. Arrival and custom clearance. Once a shipment's arrived in France, how does the custom clearance and final delivery process work? What basically from airport or the port actually, how do they get delivered? What's the process? Because we get that they come from UK, US, or wherever to a
right.
port or
Well,
airport if it's not
yeah.
the road.
Yeah, if the move is from the UK, customs will approve that particular shipment because they'll have the barcode that I described earlier. So there's no problem there. Now, shipment from the US, we would meet the container at the port, or we would go to the airport and collect the shipment, where customs clearance will be arranged by us. And again, all the paperwork will have been submitted in advance, so there shouldn't be any problem in getting the shipment cleared on arrival and then taken to final destination from the States into France.
Right. Well, actually, I have a very news sensitive question. Is or are US tariff affecting the cost of shipping from US to France or elsewhere at the
No,
moment?
I believe not. The tariffs are only on manufactured goods rather than on services. So, to the best of our knowledge right now, then no tariffs are applicable. But of course, President Trump does change his mind quite often. But at the moment,
I
that's the
seem so.
situation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's hard to keep up, indeed. We're doing
I
our
know.
best
Yeah.
here. Okay. So well, you did answer this one in a way, but just let me ask you that like painfully directly.
Yeah.
So duties and taxes, like do people have to pay any import duty or duties or taxes on their personal belonging when they relocate permanently to France? And or is there any exemptions for used household items, when part of the
No, no. For a permanent residence, a primary residence in France, there are no duties or taxes payable.
Great, that's the best answer ever.
It's considered as your belongings, so it's not taxed.
That's right.
But there is
Exactly.
one good piece of advice, probably from you, Alex, like vehicle. If you move with your vehicle, you need to do
If you
something
move
at a custom,
with your
don't you?
vehicle, then it's clearly a good idea to, well, to calculate the entire cost. But it's a good point of bringing your vehicle with you, if it, regarding the custom tax, because you avoid paying 30% tax, which is 20% VAT plus 10% quitus fiscal. And then when you want to bring along a classic car, this 30% is reduced to 5.5%.
Is there something they need to do at the custom clearance when moving with the vehicle? Alex, I think you can answer this one. Like, did they need to ask for any particular document to prove that's their main vehicle or something?
Yes, indeed. In fact, it happened. I have a best case that happened today. Maybe he's watching us, Malcolm. He
Hi,
wanted to
Michael,
bring
if
his
you're on.
car. Hi, Michael. Maybe if you're here. He wanted to bring his car to go to on the relocation process, but they didn't find the house already. So everything is stored in England, ready to go in a storage box, all the furniture. So he went this afternoon to Calais and asked for the 846A documents. And the custom refused to give him the document because they said, well, you have to declare all your list of belongings within the CERFA 170 document. And then in one of the items, you put the car on it. So it's very
And he
important
didn't.
that, and he didn't, well, he will do it when he brings his stuff, but
Oh, yes.
the tool officer told him that he could just go away with the car and do it later on. But it's very important to bring the CERFA with your previous or future declaration of moving, even if it's in 2 days or if it arrived 1 month before you or coming 1 month after you. It's very important that this car is in the list that Ben told about with the value of the vehicle and doing it with this CERFA. And very important thing, because this happened also this week. I had some UK citizen that took their time to apply to register their car in France, and they arrived in France in January 24. And so now they have missed the train because you only have 12 months to declare the entire belonging list of items you bring with you. So even if it's not a very fancy car, the cost for importing is now came from 1,000 euro to 7,000 euro because they have 6,000 euro of tax to pay regarding the tax clearance because they didn't bring the car within this 12 months period.
Yeah,
sometimes it can cost much more. As Fabien know, we have a customer that had to pay a fortune.
Yeah, 12,000. Yeah, we remember this one. Yeah, unfortunately, because
12 months, very important.
Yeah, you need to do that within 12 months. Yeah, even if like the case you've mentioned, we've had indeed a joint customer where, unfortunately, our father had a health issue. She had to go back to the UK, and then he passed away. So basically, she stayed way longer than expected. And then when she actually wanted to import a vehicle, she was past the 1 year, and they didn't want to know anything.
Days, from 4 days regarding the situation and 20 days regarding customs. So
yeah. So
she was 12 months and 20 days.
They didn't want to know anything. Yeah.
No.
And they charged her like 20,000 euros. So that was, yes.
It was crazy.
So well, let's switch to animals for a while. We talked about firearms and vehicles and belongings. Let's talk about the animals now. Okay. Well, first, for pet owners. So to you, Alex, for pet owners planning a move to France, what should they prepare for? Like how far in advance, but most importantly, vaccinations. Anything they should take care of?
Yes. In fact, what is very important is when you're going to do your visa to come over, generally with FAB Expat, we work like 3 months in advance to be sure that everything is in time and you have time to think of everything and you're not on a rush. And it's important to start, I think, 1 or 2 months before thinking about the pet case. Regarding your pet, it is important. Well, we'll mainly talk about cats and dogs, okay? I know you can import your horses or stuff like that, but it's a different situation. Regarding pets, regarding cats and dogs, then your animal must have a microchip that is ISO. I don't remember the number exactly, but which is worldwide recognized.
ISO is a norm for who's listening. Yeah.
Oh yeah, thank you, Fabien. And the animal must be updated with rabies vaccination and be fully fully in good shape. Okay, this you have to do this before, like 1 or 2 months before, making sure that everything is conform. Okay, and then 10 days within the 10 days of your departure from your country. Sure, but before that you should have taken the plane ticket for your animal. If you come with a plane, you don't go to Air France at the last minute saying, "Oh, I come with a dog." No, you have to take your pet ticket at the same time with your tickets from you. So saying that, now we are in the period of 10 days before your departure. You have to take an appointment with your vet in your country. And they will do you a certificate of conformity, like for the cars, and for saying that everything is up to date, the ship works well, because sometimes the ship cannot work anymore, so they have to scan it. So the vet is making a document to certify that he has checked that everything is conform, and legally the animal can be taken away. So at the airport, they will check that you have all these documents. It's like a passport for the animal. Then you bring your animal in France, and when you arrive in France, you have a very few days. Well, there's not an amount of days particular, but please do it in like 10 to 15 days. You have to find a local vet, and you have to register register your dog or cat on the European conformity. So we'll do another passport. It's called passport 2. Another passport for your animal in France. They will scan the ship. They will see that the numbers match, and then your animal will be registered in France. Because what can happen is maybe you arrive and then the animal just go away in the street, and if it bites someone, or if it gets lost, or if it causes an accident, then we have to check who is responsible for the animal. And for knowing who is responsible for the animal, then it must be registered in France. So you have to do the registration in your country. 10 days before leaving, you have the appointment at the vet. 10 days after arriving, you have the appointment at the vet in France. They give you a passport, and everything is fine. It's a little of paperwork. You have to take some.
Well, you can help. You can help, or you can do that for them. And that's,
I do that for you.
Yeah, that's great.
Exactly.
That's quite cheap, honestly. I mean, I know you don't charge a lot for that. You're very nice. So a quick set of questions for you, Ben, because I don't want you to fall asleep back there. So the very interesting questions we have this evening. We have a stag's head, which is wall mounted. Can I bring that to France?
We would have to get that separately declared in the same way we would for a firearm, and it may well have to be decontaminated before it can go into France. But
I'm learning a lot this evening.
Yes, it can be done. It can be done.
It can be done. Okay. Yeah. Another tricky question then. Can I take argon for welding from UK to France?
Do you know? I've never.
Gas. It's gas.
That's a good one. I'm ashamed to say I don't really know about that. But can we reply to that? The next few days. Yeah.
I would imagine it's probably better to just buy in France instead. I don't know.
Probably.
Probably, yes. Just Christine is asking, because you mentioned, for small shipments you can use air freight.
Yeah.
Right. So what would be considered a small shipment?
Right. The small shipment by air is intended for people moving from the States. Now, if there's a small volume to go from the UK, we would get that out on one of our road vehicles, but it would be charged as a part load. So the customer would pay only for the volume of space that her part load occupies on one of our large vehicles. Now, that is very cost effective, but it does take a little longer for the goods to arrive. So if we loaded, shall we say, on week 1, then the customer would need to probably give us 2 to 3 weeks to get that small lot delivered in France, because it would be consolidated with other small consignments.
Okay, sorry. The problem with me being a male is that doing 2 things at the same time. I was answering one of the questions. Thank you, Ben. Well, that is a very similar question. Can I import a stuffed animal?
Well, that goes back to the stag's head. Yeah. So yes, it can be done, but I think it would need to be decontaminated first.
That's actually a good question, because it's probably going to impact a lot of Brits moving to France, maybe on their own. But what if they do several trips? Do they need to list all items on one inventory for customs, or do they need to run an inventory each time?
It would be one for each time.
Okay, good. Okay.
In the 12 months period, it's okay. You can resubmit some new list.
Yeah, as long as you're still within the 12 months, yes. Rachel is asking, I suppose to you, Ben, are you happy for us to use our own packing boxes, maybe pre-used for books and kitchen things, etc., so as to prepare in advance?
Yeah, there's no objection in that. That's perfectly fine to do that.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, Linda is asking if we are moving as a permanent resident and we want to bring a partial container from the US, we do not pay tax on these items. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Great. Actually, partial or full container, as long as it's your belonging.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, great. Robert. Oh, hi, Robert. Oh, I think we've sent you an email this afternoon. Is the no food or drink stuff only if you're using a removal company? Could you not move some of these in your car beforehand, or does it still have to be declared or left behind?
One sees it.
Sorry, Alex, you were saying?
I said, if no one sees it.
Well, I'm just
Yeah.
about to say that if the customer cares to conceal the wine or spirits, then okay, they may well get away with it. But if the car
But that's
is
the gray
examined,
area. Yeah.
it's a grey area. Yeah, yeah.
And actually, because we mentioned food and stuff, but like, does this also expand to things like spices?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Okay. And Louise is asking, and tropical fish from the UK.
That's a good one. Yeah. Now again,
Let's say depends on the kind of animal you're talking. If it's a
Yeah,
barracuda or something.
it would be extremely costly to get tropical fish from the UK to France, because I think they would need to be kept at a fairly constant temperature. But again, if we can have details of that good lady's email, then we can respond to that separately in more detail.
Okay. Well, Alex, maybe you can answer this one. Can I drive my own car over to France, including a motorbike on a trailer?
Should you? Yes, you can directly.
Oh, it's quite easy, actually. I mean, and then you'll need to import both if you want to stick around with those. But yeah,
Exactly. You have a certain amount of day.
And actually, speaking of vehicles and trailers and stuff, Brian's asking, hi Ben, regarding vehicle import, is it the same for a van and a motorhome?
Exactly the same. Yeah.
Okay.
The paperwork is little different, by the way, for the
Yeah.
van, for the camper.
The motorhome. Yeah, it's a bit more
motorhome.
tricky. Yeah. But at customs, it's the same. Yeah.
Yes.
Lisa is asking. Okay, can you take collectible coinage like silver or gold, or do you need to pay tax?
No, that shouldn't be any problem in that.
It's belongings.
Yeah.
Okay, it's still your belongings. Okay. Is there a maximum value of goods you can import to France without paying tax as primary resident?
No, not at all. No.
Okay, so bring millions of things then.
Yeah.
Good question. If shipping to a secondary residence, so tax payable,
Yes.
what evidence is required to support stated value of the items?
There is no scrutiny on what a customer declares for each item. However, it wants to be on the low side, but reasonably realistic, because if the declared values are ridiculously low, customers will pick that up and simply reject the inventory. So to be reasonable, but certainly not not to be ridiculously low. So nothing like car boot value, shall we say?
Okay, no, but that I wasn't familiar with that saying. It's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay. A question for you, Alex, from Terry is asking, we own a newer vehicle, so probably a recent vehicle. Would you advise selling and buying in France or importing? And that's from the US.
Well, if you consider your car as an emotional object and you really want to keep it, maybe like your son was born in it or something like that, and you absolutely want to keep your car, then there's just a cost and you can just bring it along. If you think that this car can be found in France or another place, then I think you should probably sell it directly in the US and buy the same car in France. For that, there are two reasons that I can explain you. The first of all, as we said with Ben, as your relocation process, you have no tax to pay on your belongings. So it's not a problem regarding the custom tax because it's €0. So this is no problem. The problem will come with, first of all, the drill in France, DREAL, which is it's a system in France that will check that your car is conform to European standards. And regarding, for example, UK, if you drive right side of the road, the headlights will not work out as you cross on the other side. On the United States, generally, we have to replace all the headlights, the blink, and maybe some other things. And so this has a cost. I mean, I've checked for a Mini Cooper, which is very standard in France because we have like tons of it. The replacing situation for having this car in France is like 6,000 or 7,000 euro to put it fully conform, exhaust sounds and the headlights and so on and so on. So it's ridiculous. Plus the fact of bring it in a container and you have to go in. And the second very, very important thing, which is the worst for us, and which is the worst also for car lovers like me, is in France, we think we like ecology, and we invented a tax called carbon tax. And we
CO2
decided
tax.
Sorry?
CO2 tax, yes.
CO2 tax, exactly, which is on the weight now also, not only CO2 consumption, but it's a black tax. And the thing is, it's the indicator of this tax is regarding the weight of your vehicle and the CO2 consumption. And for example, for giving you an idea, the Subaru Wilderness in California is the lowest car of its emission possibly that you can get in the US, which is 235 grams per kilometers. And hi, Robert, if you see us tonight, because it's your case. And
yeah, he's there. He's there. I've seen him ask questions.
Yeah, he's there. And unfortunately for him, he brought his car without us calculating the costs of this carbon tax. And the tax of the carbon tax for his vehicle, even if it's secondhand, is 28,000 euro. Because the value of the tax, of the maximum tax in France this year in 2025 is 70,000 euro tax. Each year, we remove 10% of the value of this tax. So if your car is 10 years old, then it's €0 tax for it. But if it's 5 years, then it's only 50% discount regarding 70,000 euro tax. Then you still pay the price of the car as a tax. So, which means, and this is just the carbon tax, because after you have to pay the department and the regional tax for it. So, which means that if you bring a car from the US, you must be sure of, even from the UK, you must be sure that the age and the consumption and even the conformity is okay. Otherwise, it will cost so much more money rather than me finding you a good car here in France, already conform and already registered, ready to go on the road. And by the way, if I may, as Robert is here, Robert is very ill, and we pray that he will be very fine. But we have the case that we might have an handicap card, which will allow us of not paying.
They call it a mobility
tax.
card. Yeah, mobility card. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And as handicapped, we can show this to ANTS system, and this will avoid paying carbon tax. So if you really want to come with your Dodge Ram V12 engine, if you are handicapped or disabled person, well, it's okay. You won't pay this terrible tax. But if not, then it doesn't worth the case.
If I can endorse what Alex has just said, our brokers in the States say always try and persuade customers not to take their cars from the US because of the high costs involved, and it's an awful lot of shall we say grief and hassle. So they say try and buy a car in France, it is much, much easier.
Often, yes. Often is.
By the way, the delay for if you really decide to bring it along, the minimum delay for your car process is minimum 3 months. Minimum.
Yeah. So the like Alex was saying, I mean, I can tell from the insurance side, very often what makes an import interesting is either you got a really, really good deal on your vehicle and it's going to cost much more in France because they're usually more expensive, but it needs to be a lot of a difference to justify paying the import taxes. Well, actually, the import cost itself plus taxes eventually or potentially. Or it's a vintage vehicle, and then it's a different story because, like, yeah, it's a collection vehicle.
It's better and it's a very good thing that you say, Fabien. Regarding classic cars, I think you should bring your car with you. You will just have to pay the regular cost for moving the car physically to France. But then we can put up a dossier at FAVE, which is the Fédération Française de Véhicules d'Époque, and they will give us an attestation saying that your car is classic car, and this will avoid paying the famous tax I was talking about. And in France we really like historic cars, so even the tax for the registration part are very low.
Yeah,
it's even less than 50% of discount. So it's very interesting to keep these belongings with you.
Just Janice was asking. I have the question because I was looking for that. What about importing electric cars from the US? Well, you don't want to do that because the plugs aren't the same, so it's not going to be compliant. So it's going to be a nightmare for you. From the UK,
you can do that. Tax for the weight.
And then and then you're still going to pay a tax. Actually, it's also a question from Martin. Are electrical vehicles taxed from UK to France? So not CO2 emissions, but you may have a tax because of the weight of the vehicle.
Yeah, exactly. But it's still not very high.
Yeah, it's going to be reasonable tax. Yes. Actually, oh yeah, no, I had a question. Yeah, maybe Alex, from your experience, Paul is asking model for model, pre-tariff nonsense. So it says it's from the US. Would the same car model be more, less, or the same in France versus the US? Like, for I don't know if you have that kind of answer, but
for the value.
Yeah, let's say like a brand new Dodge Ram in the US versus France, like what kind of difference is there?
In fact, it depends of each brand, because sometimes I can find, even in our country from Europe, we can find some brands that are lower fee to pay, for example, in Germany, like Audi or BMW, rather than in the US. And in fact, it depends on each brand. So the answer is it depends.
We'll try to wrap it up quite quickly because we passed an hour now. But Ben, I have a very interesting question that we didn't address from Tony. Can you import newly purchased items as personal belongings, or does it need to be a certain age?
New furniture or other possessions, if they're brand new, they are taxed at 20%.
It's exactly the same with the cars. You must be the owner of it 6 months before you move away.
Exactly. So that's the same for the belongings?
The same, yeah, exactly the same, yes.
Okay, that's good to know.
And when you get your 846A documents regarding a car, you're not allowed to sell it within 12 months.
That's right, yeah.
Otherwise, you would pay the 30% cost of it. Of tax.
Oh, actually, good question from
6 months before, you must have it 6 months before, and you cannot sell it 12 months after.
Oh, you have to pay a tax.
Also, one of the declarations the customer has to sign for their used furniture and effects is that they will not sell them for 6 months. They must retain, 6 months.
Oh, that's interesting. Actually, a technical question, but you probably have the answer, Ben. How many sizes are there for ocean containers, like maritime containers?
Right. There's a 20-foot container, a 40-foot container, and a 40-foot high cube container. So the 40-foot high cube container, as the name implies, is higher than the standard 40-foot container. So there's just those two or three sizes.
What's considered a standard maritime container?
The 20-foot container is the most popular.
Okay. Okay, well, so there's still like more than 50 questions in the Q&A section. So sorry guys, we couldn't answer all of them, but just to avoid going overnight through the questions, I'll share all the questions with the panelists, so with Alex and Ben, so that they can review them, and if they want to get in touch directly. Also, after this event, I will send a follow-up email to all of you guys so that you can also reach out directly to both Ben and Alex and engage with either the services or ask them questions. My daughter has attended this event live and wants me to say hello. So hello, Elena. So that I'm not being murdered when going back home. So thank you all for watching. Thank you all for being with us this evening. I don't know for you, but it's been really, really interesting for me. I've learned a lot of things tonight. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Alex. You've been great. Yeah.
Yes, we've had some great questions.
Yes, really amazing questions. Again, sorry for those we could not answer live, but we will definitely reach out probably by tomorrow.
Excellent.
And you'll have everyone's details. So hopefully we'll see you soon.
Absolutely. Bye, everyone.
Have a great evening.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much for everything. Bye.
Au revoir. Au revoir, everyone.